Hi, this is Niels Vejlyt. Today I'm gonna show you some techniques, a combination of techniques. This is a really cool way and sort of an express way of getting new material into your playing. What we're gonna do here is I'm gonna show you a lick that I'm very used to, that I use, well, pretty much just happens when I improvise, and then I want to combine that with a new technique, something new, some new stuff that I came up with that is not really a part of my playing yet. You know, it's stuff that I'm able to play and I practice it, but it just doesn't happen, you know, when I pick up the guitar and play in the band or just jam to a jam track or whatever that may be. It just doesn't happen. These licks don't happen by themselves, and I wanna, you know, work those licks into my playing in an easy way, so it doesn't have to be so, I don't have to slave doing this. And I have this really cool and expressive way of doing this, and my way is to take new licks and sort of hatch them onto old stuff that just happens by himself. There is one little catch to this though. I still sort of create a little anchor point that goes from one technique to another, and in many cases I use the legato technique to go from one technique to another. But let's get into the lick, and I want to show you exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to give you an example that I work on here, but you can also take licks that you, some of your own licks, you can use my lick, you can use whatever you want, but it has to be a lick that you sort of just happens when you pick up the guitar, and then you want to hatch that on to something that you want to get into your playing. It can be something and maybe a little higher difficulty in technique, but it doesn't have to be. It just have to be a lick that you don't play just by accident almost, but something that you really want to get into your playing, you know, so when you improvise, this lick just happens, you know, picking up the guitar, and you can show this stuff up without having to really think about, now I want to play this lick, because I'm sure you know this already by now, that when you do stuff like that, you pretty much in many cases goof off if you really have to think hard about a lick. Now I want to play that lick. Maybe you can play it, maybe you can pull it off, but in many situations the sort of the anchor point going from one technique to another often sucks. You know, that's my experience anyway, you know. Then you can hear maybe a little break, and then you play the impressive lick, and then there's a little break again where you find back into your normal playing. I'm sure you know what I'm saying, what I'm talking about here, but let's get into the example so I can show you what it is. That's a combination of a lick that I know fairly well, or have been using for many years, and then I combine it with a new concept. It's a concept, a new way of playing scales using tapping, and it's a concept that I go very much into detail with in my 12-week course, the Complete Shredder System. But I just want to touch upon it here and show you a method on how I go about introducing new material into my own stuff, into my older stuff, which is a very sort of an express way into to start making use of new chops. And the cool thing about it is that it's I don't know if you already tried to take new material, new chops into your playing, either by coming up with stuff yourself or learning a new lick, and you want to use it. You know, the biggest disappointment in the world, I think, is to learn new material and not being able to use it in real life. You know what I'm saying? It's like the licks that you play in the bedroom or when you're all alone. You want to get that stuff out into a situation where it kind of really matters. You know, playing with your band, or one of those chops that just comes out naturally when you sit down and shred with the guitar either over a jam track, or when you jam with someone else or a band, or just picking a guitar up, you know, at home or someone else's place or in a guitar shop. You know, all those cool licks you want them to manifest in your playing, and this is what this is all about. Is in a sort of an express way into taking new material into fruition in an easy way. And what I do is I like to take all the material that I already use in a natural way when I just improvise, and then sort of hatch these new chops onto that older material. It's really a cool way into an easy way into that. So let me just show you what I'm doing here. The first thing I do is I play a dominant idea here, dominant arpeggio. And if you know any of my older material, you probably have seen this concept before, these 4-note arpeggios. So this is a lick, you know, I start this one from the A string, and this is something I will typically do in the second position of the major scale. And since I started on the A string, that would be the dominant step. So here in this case, if the B was the root, that would be over a B7. It's a very clean sounding scale. So the next thing I just do is then I tap the complete scale once I finish the arpeggio. Like this. But I always like to, you know, really find an easy way into doing so, you know. So what I do is when I sort of finish the arpeggio, what I actually do is when I reach the A string, I sort of do 3 pull-offs here in the scale that I'm gonna tap. So that makes it a little bit easier to go from lick to lick, and that's also what you wanna create something that goes from one lick to another, so that it's not you know, really hell to go into a new lick. You want to create something that makes it easy to go from lick to lick, and it takes a little you know, a little of your thought process to just make it easy. And going from one technique to another, in many cases, I feel is to make that easier is by using the legato technique, and I also do that in this case. But let me just show you exactly the techniques that I combine here. And one more thing I just want to say here is you don't have to use these techniques. So if you have some more traditional rock and roll licks, something like that, and you want to hatch something new onto that, it could be a traditional triad arpeggio. Something like that, for example. It could be whatever. It could also be 2 licks that you already know, but one of the licks you don't use them that much. So it could be anything. You really need to just get into a more creative way of thinking with this stuff. But let me show you the licks that I'm playing here. Alright, so the first thing I do is I play, as I said, a dominant arpeggio. Like this. And it's a combination of 2 techniques. It's a sweep picking technique that I use with my pick, and then I combine that with hammer-ons. So let's just take it from the top here. Start on the A string. Just want to tell you that I'm using a 7-string guitar here, so don't mind the low string here. I start on the A string, 14th fret with my index finger, and then I play a downstroke and I hammer on to the 18th with my little finger. And then I go into the D string with my long finger, and so this is a downstroke, then a hammer on, and then a downstroke again. 16th fret, and then I go into the 14th fret with my index finger on the G string. Here I play a hammer on again. I hammer on to the 16th fret with my long finger, and then I roll that down to the B string, and then I continue into the high E string, 14th fret, and then I hammer on twice actually, and then do 2 pull-offs also. So once I'm into the high E string, 14th fret, I hammer on here to the 17th and to the 19th with the ring and little finger, pull off again, and then I go into the B string again with my long finger, making sure that I can roll over 2 strings here, 16th fret on the B and G string. So it's down, hammer on, down, down, hammer on, down, down, hammer on, pull off, and then an upstroke, and then pulling off here once I get into the G string, pulling off from 16 to 14 again, and then going into the D string with my long finger again. A lot of long finger action in this one, 16th fret on D string, and then I do this, you know, I do this little arrangement of sort of a little point of where I can go from one technique to another, because once I reach the A string with my little finger, I actually do 2 pull-offs here, and this gives me the chance to move from one technique to another in a fairly easy way, I would think. So I pull off actually to my ring finger, which is positioned on the 16th fret, and then into the 14th fret, which was my starting point, the B dominant. In this case it becomes the G Mixolydian scale here. So I go from the B dominant arpeggio into the B Mixolydian scale. So I pull off from 18 to 16 and 14, and then I hammer onto those notes again. Then I tap with two fingers here. I still keep the pick between my thumb and my index finger, but then I got 2 fingers here that I want to use for tapping, because I like to keep the pick all the time, as long as I don't tap with all 4 fingers. In this case, this idea, I only use 2 fingers to tap with. It's still something, if you never tapped with 2 fingers before, it definitely does take some time to get that technique down, because you in general want to make the fingers on the tapping hand here work as well as the fretting hand, and it's not like starting over probably, but it takes some quite a bit of effort. Okay, so I tap on the A string. Once I've hammered on to the 16th and 18th, I tap on the 19th and 21st fret. Then I skip a string. I skip the D string and move into the G string, and then I do a hammer on without anything. I just do a hammer on from nowhere, as Greg Howe calls it. I hammer on here on the 13th fret with my index finger, and then to the 14th with my long finger and little finger on the 16th fret, and then I tap again with the 2 same fingers. I tap the 18th and 20th fret. Then I move into the high E string. I skip yet another string. I skip the B string and I move up to the high E string with my index finger, and again I hammer on from nowhere on the 12th fret, 14th and 16th, and then I tap 2 notes again. I tap again, same fingers. I tap 17, 19, pulling off again to 17, and then I pull off again to 16, 14, 12. So, and then I move in back again into the G string. So this time I start with the ring finger. I tap with the ring finger first. Can feel it a little unnatural, I guess, if you've never tried it before. So I tap the 20th, pulling off to the 18th. This is a technique that takes some getting used to. There's no doubt about that. Then I pull off again to 16, 14 and 13. And then I end the thing here on the A string, tapping again first with my ring finger on the 21st, first pulling off to 19, and then into my fretting hand, which is 18, 16 and 14. So again, this is just an example of what you can do with this idea of combining licks. It's a really easy way, I think, to get more stuff, to get new licks into your playing in a relatively easy way, I think. So really dig into your library of licks and see if you can combine stuff and find some stuff that you always wanted to, you know, be able to show off and show to the people around you in the band or whatever that may be. And give that a shot, and don't give up if it obviously does still take time. It's not like it's really super easy, but it's just a really cool way when you find yourself playing some licks that just sort of happens when you improvise, and then if you can combine that with new stuff. So good luck with that.